My freelancing friends, your life is busy, work is busy, and you cannot afford to waste a single second floundering around your ClickUp looking for things, especially when there are some super sweet ClickUp shortcuts that you could be using. And I know the last thing that you want to do right now or have time for is to learn more about ClickUp, but I promise you that these shortcuts I'm about to share with you are super simple, basic features of ClickUp that most people just overlook. Like, you can literally start using them right now while you're watching this video, and in 1 week you're gonna laugh and think like, what the hell was I doing before? If you're new here, I'm Robyn, and I am the only freelancer who is explaining ClickUp in freelance terms. I have spent 4 years and over 8,000 hours in ClickUp every day, managing clients and growing my business. So any advice that I give you is not theoretical. I am in the trenches with you. I have been a freelancer for over 10 years, so I have some really sound freelancing advice to offer. Now I know your time is limited, so let's just get right into it. The first thing you need to understand is how critical navigation becomes when you start to build out more elements of your business in ClickUp. As freelancers, we're already dealing with a sense of overwhelm on a daily basis. So navigating around ClickUp cannot be a source of that. There's already well enough of that to go around. Now, finding what it is you need in 1 or 2 clicks may not seem like a huge deal, but trust me, those 10, 20, 30 seconds can really add up over a day or even a week, but it really lightens your mental load when you're already dealing with a sense of overwhelm and maybe like low-grade anxiety. So I don't want you to discount the idea of ClickUp navigation. So keep that in mind as you're going through these different 5 shortcuts. And with that, we can actually get started. Okay, the first shortcut is the task tray. So what is the task tray? Think of the task tray kind of like minimizing your Chrome window or Safari window, browser window, and coming back to it again later. Or maybe opening a new tab and then coming back to that existing tab later. It's basically a way to bookmark either a task or a doc so that you can come back to it again later. So what is this used for? Let's say that you are working on a task over a couple of days, or maybe you're focusing on one task in one day. This is the perfect use case for the task tray. So I'm gonna show you what I mean by that. So here is the project that I'm working on for this YouTube video. To use the task tray is to simply add a task by selecting this button, the minimize task, and then it shows up down here. There are a couple different things that I have currently in my task tray now. Now, if you've never used the task tray before, it will not show up like it's showing up for you in my window. So I'm going to unpin it so that you can see what it looks like when it hasn't been pinned. So you can see that it shows up here as like the number and there's an up arrow. So this is what the task tray looks like when it's not pinned. To pin it, just push up, and then there's the little pin to task tray button, and then boom, it'll show up here. So now, anytime you're anywhere in your ClickUp workspace, you will always be able to see your pinned items down here. And as I said before, you can put docs down there, you can put tasks. Those are the 2 different types that you can add to your task tray. As an extra little piece about the task tray, since this is something that can very easily get cluttered, I highly recommend that you do a continuous clean out of it. Meaning that, I'm working on this over the series of a week, but the second that I'm done working on it, I will make sure that I exit out of it and remove it from the tray, okay? So just making sure that this is always clean because you don't want to add another source of clutter. So that is the task tray. So the second one is the ClickUp search bar. So what is the search bar? It is pretty self-explanatory. It is where you can go to search for anything inside of your ClickUp workspace. However, the use case that I suggest you use it for is, let's say you're moving between 2 different ClickUp windows. Let's say you have 2 different monitors. So you're bouncing back and forth between different ClickUp tabs. Let's say you accidentally close a task or a doc and you want to get back to it really quickly. You can always navigate to it using your sidebar navigation. However, that is really inefficient, and you can save a lot of time by quickly going to your search bar. And once you click inside of it, it will automatically open up all of the results of the most recent tasks and docs that you were working inside of. So right away, I can see the task that I was working on and I wanted to get back to without having to search for anything. Now you can also go one step further, and let's say it wasn't one of the most recent tasks or docs you were working in and you want to find it. Let's say it was a doc. You can apply either the task or the docs filter just to get all of those specific results back. And it's really quick and you'll probably end up using it a lot more than you thought you would. And there's really not much more to say about it than that. So that is the search bar. Number 3 are the navigation breadcrumbs. So what are navigation breadcrumbs? The easiest way to describe them are very commonly you see them on, say, e-commerce websites. When you click into a series of different category pages, then you can see the categories that you're within. So for example, appliances, refrigerators, Maytag. If a Maytag is a refrigerator brand, then you can very easily just go back. If you wanted to go back to all refrigerators, you could click on that without having to hit back or go back to the main menu. So the same option exists in ClickUp in a couple different places. And this makes it really easy because when you start building a lot of different things inside of ClickUp, you're going to have many different layers. And we don't want to rely on our sidebar navigation because it's just really slow and a bit cumbersome. So there are actually 3 different options for breadcrumbs in ClickUp. So I'm going to show you what those look like and where they exist. So the first one is inside of any view that summarizes other lists and folders. So when I say that, I mean like if you're inside of the everything view, if you're inside of a space, if you're inside of a folder, when you're bringing information from multiple places into one, this is really helpful to avoid, again, using that sidebar navigation. So I want to be able to jump to a list, a folder, or a space without having to go to the sidebar. So here inside of this view that you're looking at, you can see here are the tasks that I have, but they're above them is the list, the folder, and the space that they're a part of. And I can very easily just click into that space or that folder or that list, and immediately I move to that view without having to use the sidebar. Now, this isn't something that shows up automatically. You actually have to add this in to your view settings. And you can do that by inside of any view coming over to this customize option. And there are these 2 options, toggle menu on or off, called show task location and show subtask parent name. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when they're off, because this is typically what you will look like when you don't have these things, like when you don't have any extra customizations added to ClickUp, this is what it looks like. And you can see very quickly once I add them, how handy this is, not just for navigation, but also for context. So I can see what lists, what folders, what spaces these tasks are a part of. So that's the first part or first area where you can utilize these breadcrumbs. The second is actually inside of a task. So if I open a task at the very top, we have the exact same hierarchy options above. So I can, again, tell what the list, the folder, and the space is, but I can also click to it from here. Super easy. Now, the third is when we're talking about subtasks. So if you're inside of a subtask and it's a part of a parent task or a project, whatever you refer to it as, at the very top of the subtask is here the name of the project, and I can click and be inside of that project in one click. Again, these are all just like quick little time-saving shortcuts of how to navigate around without having to utilize your sidebar, and it saves you a lot of time in the end. So that is the navigation breadcrumbs. Okay, so number 4 is the favorites bar. What is the favorites bar? This is essentially a way to bookmark your most trafficked views, lists, or even embeds that you refer to all the time. And it's different from the task tray because these items are more fixed, right? The task tray is something that you're always changing based on what it is that you're working on at that time, whereas the bookmarks bar are your views that you're playing in, referring to, working in all the time. Now, you should have certain views that you spend most of your time in because ClickUp's most powerful feature is its ability to consolidate information from multiple places into a single view. And if you're a freelancer who manages multiple clients, then you need to have views that bring all of your work, all of your projects from multiple clients into one so that you can more accurately and effectively manage your time and your workload. So this is the perfect use case for the favorites bar. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So favorites is a standard feature in ClickUp, and you can see right here along the top, these are my favorites that I have bookmarked for myself. Now, again, similar to the task tray, this is not going to show up on your top here like pinned unless you select that feature. So I'm going to unselect it and show you what it looks like when it's not. So if you don't have your favorite favorites bar pinned, it will show up here in your sidebar navigation as just this tiny little text here on the side. You actually have to expand it to even see what's inside of your favorites. So I recommend first and foremost that you pin it so that, again, it shows up here at the top bar no matter where you are inside of your workspace. So as I said, you can add anything as a favorite. You can add views as a favorite. So for example, this company-wide tasks view, this is a view that I have selected. This is what I spend most of my time in. So it is on my favorites bar. But I also have a Google Sheet that's been embedded, and I have selected that as a favorite as well because this is my reporting. I use this all the time. I have a dashboard also selected, a couple dashboards, and a bookings view. So these are the things that I want to refer to most often. I spend most of my time here, and so they have been added as favorites and they live in my bookmarks bar. Now, if you don't have centralized views in ClickUp and you're feeling like your workspace is a little unfocused, then I would highly recommend that you check out the Focus Framework. This is exactly what I created this course for, so that you can create one centralized view for managing all of your client work, and not even just your client work, anything else that you have on your plate, maybe projects that you're moving forward of your own brand or personal things in your life. You want to have one place to manage your workload and all of your attention. So I highly recommend you check that out. I will put more information about it in the description below, as well as a link. So make sure you check that out, Focus Framework, and that is the favorites bar. Okay, number 5. And number 5 is the task layout sidebar option. What is this? So this is a different way of looking at your task so that you can cross-reference information from within your ClickUp. Now, I'll be honest, I don't use this that often, but it does have some utility, so I think it's worth mentioning. When you start to use ClickUp more and more, you are going to start to need to cross-reference information, but it's always best for me to just show you. So for example, let's say I'm inside of my YouTube video and I wanted to reference the other YouTube videos that I had done to get a sense for what had already been done, what titles I'd already used, something like that. So I might choose to use this task layout feature. So if you're inside of a task in the top right-hand corner, there are 3 different task layout options. And I'm going to ask you to select the sidebar. So this is most useful when you have only one screen, or you don't want to be toggling between different tabs, different browser windows with ClickUp, and you just want to consolidate everything into a single window. So with the task layout sidebar view, then you have the option to navigate around your ClickUp and look at different lists while also being inside of a task. So as I said before, if you wanted to cross-reference your other existing YouTube videos, let's say, and to see what other titles had been done or what had already been planned or any information that you can see from the outside, right? Which means not clicking inside of a task. This really does come down to if you have views set up that act more like databases, which just means that there's actually information without having to click inside of the task, then this can be useful. This task stays fixed on the right-hand side and I can work in it, but I can also still be looking at and navigating around my ClickUp workspace, but only looking at lists. So the caveat to this is that the second you click into another task, it changes out the existing task. And if you're going to start looking around in your folders and stuff, then you're going to lose it altogether. Now you will need to change the task layout back to the default view, or it will continue to have it stuck in the sidebar view. So that is something to consider, but there's definitely a use case for this, so it's worth mentioning. Okay, you guys, that's it. Those are my 5 shortcuts. I can't wait to see how much time it saves you. Please let me know in the comments if you've learned anything new, or if you have any shortcuts of your own that I didn't mention. Please let me know. I would love to hear them. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.